Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, another day, another ship delay getting started. We also have some really interesting news coming out from the financial report of Royal Caribbean. And apparently, according to some reports, they've arrested some cruise ships. The Holland America Oct was scheduled around May 8th to begin sailing and have Alaskan itineraries. Holland America is very well known in Alaska, second maybe only to Princess Cruise Lines. But they said, well, unfortunately, the Oct is going to be postponed until June 12th, which means a lot of the early sailings are going to be canceled. Now, passengers have some choices. They can opt for a full refund, or they can opt for moving the cruise over to a similar cruise and a similar sailings on another ship. If you booked your flights and everything with Holland America, they will rebook your flights and everything as well. Also, booked your flights with somebody else, you can submit a form to Holland America for consideration to pay the fees, the difference of your flight. So if it costs you more money to change over or there's a penalty, they may pick up the cost for you. There's a form there to fill out. Again, a little disappointing. A lot of the bookings that were scheduled have been moved over to the Eurodam, which is a slightly larger ship. Still going to Alaska. I know a lot of people have their favorite ships, so when you choose a certain ship, sometimes it's very disappointing if it gets moved to another one. Sometimes it doesn't really matter. Sometimes you get an older ship and all of a sudden you're on a bigger ship and a newer ship and you go, oh great, it's like an upgrade. And sometimes you're like, I didn't want that ship, I wanted the ship I booked. So a little bit of disappointing news for Holland America fans. Yeah, the Oct has been delayed. There are also reports out there now that the Crystal Symphony and the Serenity have both been issued their arrest warrants and are actually currently under arrest, as much as you can arrest a cruise ship. That's not the worst thing that's going on, though, with these cruise ships. It's now all about the crew members that are on board. The passengers have now all left. They've all transferred. Whatever's happening with them, whether they're going to another ship, whether they're gone home, whether they're looking for something else, that part is sort of taken care of. The worst part now is the crew members. On one ship, it's reported it's out of fuel. On another ship, it's reported that they're just about out of food and they need to take on more provisions. Who's going to pay for that? How are they going to get that? Who knows? Remember, a lot of these crew members are basically minimum wage employees as far as you would consider here in North America. It might be a much higher pay if you come from other countries for that country's rate of pay. However, in North America, it's just around minimum wage, just above that. And they don't necessarily have enough money to fly themselves home and look for another job and things like that. Not only that, many of the crew members are now reporting that, oh, by the way, we still haven't been paid for last month yet. We've been waiting and nothing's come through. Now, the cruise line themselves say their pay schedule is up to date. However, that's not what we're hearing from the actual crew members right now that are on those two ships. There's also rumor now that the Endeavour, the Crystal Endeavour, is also been placed under arrest. One report says it left port safely. Another one report said, no, they've been served a summons as well for unpaid fees, whether it be for fuel or whether it be for something else. It doesn't go into too much description. But again, the worst case scenario out of all this is the poor crew members who are just caught up in a company going under, and it's not like a company on land. I've lived through that. I used to work for a company called JDS Uniphase, who basically went from 20,000 employees down to 2,000 employees. And, you're just laid off. You're gone. You got to look for a new job. Fine. However, when you're stuck at sea and can't get home, it's a whole new kettle of wax, if you will. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with these crew members, but I'll keep you up to date with what's going on, and hopefully somebody helps them out very, very shortly. We also have some rather interesting news that came from Royal Caribbean on protocols, but before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Really does help the channel out. It says, hey, YouTube, people like cruising content. People want to watch cruising videos, and they share it to more people, giving a chance for more people to join the community and spread cruising even further than it's already as popular as it is. And again, it really does help the channel. It doesn't cost a single thing, and I'd really, really appreciate it. Okay. Royal Caribbean just had their quarterly financial report that they bring out, and to no surprise, they didn't meet target. A lot of this is because when Omicron hit, a lot of people canceled. Not only that, they have the extra expense now of when their crew members started coming down with it and they had to start using their ships and not sailing those ships. Instead, they had to cancel a lot of cruises. So it's not surprising they didn't meet their quarter. However, Michael Bailey now has come out and said, hey, you know what? Things are turning around. The rate on ships of infections is back to pre-Omicron stages, where it's very, very minimal on the ships now, and the crew members are all coming back, and the ships are ready to keep sailing and get going. Not only that, there's some new opportunities out there for perhaps taking over where Genting Cruise Lines, remember Crystal, part of Genting, they are going under. Maybe, just maybe, Royal Caribbean might want to step up and put a few ships in the China region, not just the spectrum of the seas. They see this as maybe a big growth opportunity to use some of their ships and get more and more spread of cruising out in that area, get a bigger foothold. And then they talked about protocols when they were asked questions about when do you think some of these things are going to ease. And he started saying, as you know, the cruise lines are now under a voluntary system from the CDC's no sail order, and they said with the Omicron now dropping not only in land, but really significantly on cruise ships. They said even during Omicron, the highest infection rate on Royal Caribbean was 0.19 positivity rate. Well, if you figure, go to land, and some places were at 17 and 18% in some cities. So they kept the cruise lines very, very minimal. Although, remember the headlines? This many cases on this ship and this many cases on this ship. Well, you don't hear those headlines anymore. And you certainly don't hear the Washington Post, the New York Post, or anybody out there saying, oh, by the way, the infections on cruise ships have gone way down. They won't report that. They only want that headline to scare people and say, hey, look at how many cases were on board. They love the headline grabbing, but they don't like to finish off the story when things actually start turning around, because I guess that's not headline news. So the infection rates are down, and the CDC is expected very shortly to take cruise ships from the level 4 warning to a level 3 warning, which is significant, especially for people looking for insurance and things like that. There is also, they started talking about protocols, and they said, we expect, in the next coming weeks, you will start to see a movement of less and less restrictions. He didn't go into details on what restrictions, but they did say it will make it easier for our clients, passengers, and guests. And you can only assume that one of the things they're looking at could be extending the testing from 2 days to 3 days. Perhaps they're talking about the masking policy. Remember, Royal Caribbean had designated vaccine areas. Perhaps they're talking about no more vaccines. I think that's the last one to go. I think you'll see masks disappear, you'll see testing disappear, before you'll see the vaccine mandate disappear. However, they're talking about it now. They're in discussions with Royal Caribbean right now about what protocols, and they are going with the CDC, and they're talking with the CDC and saying, we're looking at, if we ease restrictions, what should we ease? Let's talk about it. And so anybody who's looking for a little easier time on a cruise ship with less restrictions, that's only good news. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.